Hello, this is Janet Gallen welcoming you to Love Letters Live. And today's guest is still a treat, Myrna Aronoff. And we're back to talk more about hair because we forgot to mention some things last time. So, Myrna, you say hello first.
I can say hello. Hello. We have a lot to say and a lot to share.
I wanted to correct a couple of things. Last time when I was talking about Kenya and how people there, I was saying the women, by the way they cut their hair, indicate whether there's, no, not cut, the way they braid it is the indication. So I just wanted to set that straight. But then we talked.
There's also, you found out too, didn't you? And I found out too about the wigs.
Okay, you go. What did you have first?
Well, no, I found out that they wear the wigs to cover up if they have any diseases.
Oh, well, you mean originally?
Yeah, they have diseases, and that originally, and that's when they started to wear those wigs in courts.
Oh, in court. Okay, so I looked into that also, and I found that the powdered wigs started with Louis the 14th, and he started to what?
I said Louis.
Louis, and he started to go bald at the age of 17, and he didn't want that. He didn't want his reputation to suffer. So he started, he had wig makers make him wigs, I guess, in the style of the hair but why did they start to powder them? It's a little, I guess it was good that they did, but they started to powder them because to cover up the horrible stench that would arise, but then also parasites would make their home. So they powdered them to keep away the stench and the parasites. But so it was just to discourage those foul odors. But now the powdered wig in court, it became a tradition, I guess, for important men to wear powdered wigs. And what I read is it's for anonymity so that everybody's kind of equal in court.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
That's good.
That's
so you listen more to what they say than what they look like.
That's right. Exactly. Anyway, so that's it. And also, I forgot because I got so carried away with everything you were saying and that we were sharing. I forgot to do what I'm supposed to do, which is talk about love letters. And I just never even mentioned them. But I'm going to mention them now because I wrote two of them after we talked last time here. I wrote one to you, and I wrote one to my hairdresser, who I don't see anymore. But just to thank her for years. It's Mary Louie at Hair Savvy, on Chestnut Street. And she's fabulous. She's kind and she's fat. She's great. She deserves a love letter.
You wrote, I have it put away.
Oh, good.
The most beautiful. It was a love letter.
Yes, it was.
And I felt like I was being eulogized. I shared it with my husband. Not yet.
No.
But encompassed your feelings, your thoughts, and made me feel so unbelievably special. And I really, truly appreciated that, especially at this time in the COVID, that it was very special and it touched my heart.
Well, thank you, sweetheart. The truth is you are very special, always have been. And yes, I just wanted to say so. And sometimes I think it's good for people like you, anybody, to see themselves most clearly. And that is through the eyes of someone who loves them.
Well, it's true.
Isn't that right?
Lately, what's happened is that unfortunately people don't use the pen and they're always on tech. They're sending either emails or texts. So it's that personal communication is
I do it myself. I love emails and I love texting, which I didn't think I would. But anyway, okay, let's get back to hair because what we forgot to talk about? We talked about the 60s in terms of the afro and that particular stance that people took. But we forgot about the men who were suddenly letting their hair grow long and wearing flowered shirts and looking.
That's true. And I had a man, I think I did mention it, that I had a picture and I looked at it and I thought, oh, that's a picture of myself. And I looked it was my son, and he had very long hair. Now, of course, it's very short,
Right.
but he had long hair, and he liked wearing it. And
Yeah.
meanwhile, I thought me in the
Well,
picture.
I can see that. As it turns out that when the men started letting their hair grow really long and wearing flowered shirts, and then there was the Beatles, it was seen as the establishment took it, as always, as such a slap in the face. It was a declaration of war. You heard people saying, "Oh, they just look so dirty with that long." No, they didn't. They looked shiny and beautiful. It was, and then you mentioned sideburns.
I didn't, but it's
Somebody did. And somebody I was talking to, and I remember sideburns and beards and all these things that the establishment took as, first of all, anti-Vietnam protesters, which was true. And then one fine day, there was a picture of Lyndon Johnson in the newspaper on the front page with sideburns. Because finally, it was seen as like cool and young, and no one.
Elvis Presley also.
Yes.
Elvis Presley was a big person that they emulated.
Yes.
And he was sideburns too. So
that's right. And then so that whole business and the flowered shirts, and it was just beautiful. So I was gonna say, so that was the 60s, and we were gonna share some pictures, but in the 50s, Carol Lindley was a model, a big model in the 50s. Do you remember her? She was very beautiful. She had this long, sleek, straight blonde hair. And everybody, that was like the new standard of beauty, and everybody was trying for it. And I actually did. I straightened my hair once at a salon because I thought, well, I'll try that long, sleek, which I don't have by nature. And it burned off my hair. So I never did it again. You never did that, huh?
Never did that, dear. What God gave me, I kept at that time.
That's great.
But to tell you the truth, I can't remember when I first started going to a hairdresser, but I wouldn't go out, even if I had a date. If I was going to the hairdresser 2 days before, I wouldn't go out because they were the ones that took care of my hair. Today, I'm the hairdresser.
Right.
And my fingers do the work.
Right.
And I don't know if it was vain or maybe it's the style. I never felt I could do my hair. It took years for me to realize.
Isn't that interesting? Very interesting. My goodness. Well, yes. So, and there's that whole phrase, if you're having a bad hair day. And then we forgot about gentlemen prefer blondes. There was.
Oh, well, I don't know where to begin. I have my old hairstyles. I have blonde.
Oh my goodness.
Blondes. I had that blondie, and I had this blondie.
Oh, I never saw that.
That was when I was in my days. I can't even believe it's a good thing. I had it for a while,
yeah,
but not long enough that you saw it. But besides blonde, I had short hair.
Oh yes, me
short
too.
Hair.
But me too. Here, I had it all chopped off at one point.
Oh my God. Then I had really, really, really short hair.
Oh, that's adorable.
That was a good cut.
Yes.
Then I had my son, this is 20 years ago. I had that hairstyle. And then
you were always gorgeous.
Oh,
my goodness.
A long time ago. Then if you can really see here,
yes,
that is when it's 50s. Now that hairstyle I had done at the hairdresser. Yes. But I had long hair, I had short hair, I had every kind of hair that you can think of.
Great.
Little short.
Oh my God. Okay, so here's one for me. This is, remember Marlo Thomas?
I wore that style when I got married. I love it. I had a flip.
This was on the way. This was on the way to my 10th high school reunion, and my husband was very nervous about going. And if you want to know about that totally glazed look, we did a little before we went, so we're looking
Oh,
a little glazed.
I
Yeah.
know. Okay.
And then,
But I had that. When I got married, I said,
by
what
the way,
happened to me?
the 60s.
I love it.
Well,
Oh my God, you look like you could have gone to Woodstock.
that's the point. I look like everybody looked like this, and in the 60s. And did you see by any chance Mrs. America? It was a Netflix movie starring Kate Blanchett as Phyllis Schlafly.
I didn't.
Okay, well, I thought it was great. It took me a couple of episodes, but I started to get confused, and it was the hair. Everybody looked like Gloria Steinem. Everybody had that same
Exactly.
hair. You can't tell one creature from another. Yes. So talk about your beehive.
Oh my gosh. I couldn't do a beehive. And that's when I was going, the hairdresser, all the way up. That's where we were.
Before
And
we make too much fun of
you
Marie Antoinette.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think about if I had, this old picture of me.
Yes.
It was probably so lacquered and hard, which we don't do today.
Right.
We like more natural.
By the way,
I look at people that come out and I think they have wigs today when they go and have their hair combed out.
Yeah.
See,
but we used to do that. We used to tease it, and then I used to do my own. And
did you put it in the back with the
hairpins?
Yes, with hairpins.
It was great. And it had that Nefertiti look that is pretty nice, really. Okay, so what do you go ahead?
No, I'm saying I loved the Nefertiti. It was really, really good.
Yes. What do you remember about your
had bangs? Then bangs were in.
Right.
Everybody was wearing the bangs.
And by the way, yes. And how I'm looking for a picture here. Hold on. How early does this interest in our hair start? Okay, I just want you to take a quick look at this. This is
oh my God.
Okay. This is a 3-year-old. Now, whoever has had the task of washing the hair of a 2 and 3-year-old child, I mean, it's a lot of screaming and splashing and and there's soap. Put that same child in a salon chair, and she becomes a 40-year-old with the dignity worthy of Buckingham Palace.
I love it.
And they know just my granddaughter had longer. She got it cut like this on her 4th birthday. She chose to get a short haircut. Ear just a bob, a page, whatever you call it. Buster Brown, that kind of. And I saw her and I just almost didn't recognize her. I said, "You got your hair cut," because we all like talking about our hair. And yes, I decided on this style. And she said, this is her 4th birthday. She said, I wanted to have it done blonde. But
4 years she wanted blonde.
I wanted to have it done blonde, but I'm only 4 and I'm like, so I'm going to wait till I'm 6. That must have seemed like very far in the future. But still,
I have a charitable granddaughter.
Yeah.
She had very long locks and she had it cut. And she, sent it to, I think it's Cancer for Hair,
Yes.
So
yes.
that in itself, it started her to become a person that was very thoughtful in life.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Because it's one of her first charitable times in her life. So
yes, I've known a couple of people who have done that. Okay. So what do you remember about your mother and hair?
Oh my gosh. I have pictures of my mother. I'm sorry I didn't bring it here. I mean, it's around the corner in the other room. But my mother had red hair.
Really?
There were 3 sisters, one blonde, one dark, and one red. And my mother always had hair that was like came out. You had to go in maybe to dig in to find out scalp. It was always the bouffant, and always, always in place, because I think she went twice a week.
Oh,
You
hell,
know,
yes, like
the
a
hair
hell. So
could change times, but I do remember her hair.
well, the desire. I remember as a child, my mother. I don't know how many people are going to relate to this, but because we're the same age, so you have to be this age to remember your mother's doing this. But my mother used to wait, and as soon as my father left for work, she would put her hair in pin curls. She would wet her hair and do little pin curls. And my mother had very straight hair. I got the curly stuff from her, and she had very straight hair. And no matter what she did, it really didn't go curly.
And what about those rollers that we didn't want anybody used to take our hair, and we used to have rollers and hide from people if they saw us, heaven forbid,
Okay, we used to use orange juice, frozen orange juice cans,
Exactly, exactly.
so that our hair we'd get that Marlo Thomas flip. Oh my
So
goodness.
I don't know what's happened. We evolved, but we never really thought about it.
Right.
It was used to sit under the hair dryer. Remember the hair dryer? Oh my God.
Oh, well, I like the ones with the flexible hood and the long tube.
Oh my
I
God.
used to fall asleep under that.
The hair dryer. And if we walked out into the rain, forget it. We had to hide because if it was our hair, we that was the end of seeing anybody.
Yes. So
It's
bizarre. Okay. So we don't.
It's very bizarre, but here we are, you and I, gray ladies, and I'm going, I have to tell you, Friday. If February, I think my hair has gotten a little too long because I want to get it cut short. So I'm a little nervous. I haven't been to a hairdresser in all that time.
So you're going to go inside a salon?
In the house by somebody.
But
I'm going at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And I told them I don't need anybody to color my hair.
Right.
No tint, no coloring.
Right.
It will be an event.
Yes.
See how they react to me.
So, changing fashions is such an interesting business. I mean, when you look back, what's the silliest outfit you ever wore in clothing?
Well, the silliest outfit, and I don't know if it was silly, but I had a pink. I'm looking back. I still have remnants of whatever. The poodle skirt.
Oh, you have one?
The felt. I had it made for a costume party. I think it's there somewhere. But and crinolines. We used to put crinolines all the time underneath our.
Yeah,
our dresses had to be full.
That was one step away from hoop skirts.
Absolutely. And then the see-through. You had to wear camisoles under the see-through, like Dorothy Collins. I don't know if you remember Dorothy Collins. She used to be on the television show in the 50s singing.
Like the hit parade.
That's it. The hit parade. You remembered?
I do.
We always wore those nylon blouses, but with the camisoles under them.
Oh, funny. I don't remember that, but I remember in the 60s, the macrame tops.
Oh, yes.
You also had to wear a camisole unless you were very brave. Right.
Very brave. Don't forget, we each grew up on a different coast.
Well, I understand that, but I don't. But we all got Snooky Lanson and Dorothy Collins on the hit parade.
That we remember.
Right.
But I grew up where, except for Woodstock, and I was not part of Woodstock, and I had gotten married. I was not, because I was shocked when I first came out here and I visited Berkeley.
Oh, what were you shocked at?
I visited Cal.
Yeah.
Berkeley College, and I saw people, Dr. Spock running for president, and Haight Street, where my gosh, Haight Street is like back in the 60s. You still go there.
I lived there in the 60s. Yes, I'm familiar. Yes.
And I never saw that. Okay. You had to go leave it to see it or go to maybe Soho in New York.
Uh-huh.
But I grew up in a small town and everybody was, very conservative. We wore little bobs and then the little collars. You remember those little collars that we used to wear around our neck? You
Oh, the
never
false
wore
colors?
the false collars.
Sure.
See, yeah, I mean, it's different, you know, it's hippie, that's why when my son was growing up with the long hair, there he is in his 60s, 70s, looking like like a hippie.
But
80s.
you were in England with the Beatles when your kids were young.
Yeah, that's right. I was in England and they were going to private schools. So when you go to a private English school, you are, he became, when we came back to the States, that's when he started in the 80s wearing the long hair. But in the 70s, they were little proper men in little uniforms, and you had a haircut. You had to just look. They all look the same. You line them up.
By the way, yeah, when you say look like, little gentlemen, I've noticed old clips of musicians from the 60s and the 50s and just the wildest, freest popular musicians were wearing jackets and shirts and ties. They didn't come out like musicians do today. They were dressed like proper.
Like the orchestra,
I'm talking about even bands like the Smothers Brothers or
whatever
bands there were, Yeah.
Proper.
They all wore and the band leaders, you're right, the band leaders.
And I'm thinking back, it was like I'm trying to think. I mean, the Bing Crosbys and even the Sammy Davis and Nick, they were always dressed. It's when the group came out and Elvis Presley doing his little dance on television created a whole different group of people. Now, it's like you mentioned the Beatles. Beatles were there in the 60s, early 70s, but we just never, my kids were not my kids. We were there for 10 years. So Alan was 10 when we came back, 10 and 8. So then they went off to private schools here again. So they were all in.
The whole business of Elvis Presley. Oh, and there was some hair to contend with, right? So he was kind of a wild man with what a voice, though. What a voice, and just gorgeous. Anyway, when he was younger, poor thing was not well, later in life. But the church and the establishment, they were going nuts because he was wiggling his pelvis while he was singing. They were calling him Elvis the pelvis. And then there were all those jokes about his brother Enos.
So dumb. How far that we have come.
But he wasn't, go look at old videos of Elvis, everybody. He never shakes his pelvis. He's shaking his knees.
Oh, it's very interesting.
Never shook his pelvis.
And they're still today imitating him.
Right.
Because, he really left the legacy.
Well, because he was too sexual at the time, and it scared the living daylights out of half the world.
Today, anything and everything goes.
Right, like Cole Porter said in the 20s or whenever that was, right? And yes.
Anything goes, honey. We can and that's the freedom. That's the freedom of our hair, that anything goes. Right. And I think there's still people I know, and I have to say it, that during this time that we're here, are still having the hairdresser come to the house. And they're going absolutely nowhere, but every hair has to be in place.
Right.
Okay. And not many, but there's still, because they feel that's their beauty.
Yes, and they have to feel good. I put perfume on, by the way. Nobody has taken a sniff for 8 months.
I know, that's for us.
How lovely. Yes.
That's for us. And I know somebody's daughter that knows me by my scent.
Oh, mine did too. Mine did too. And Tony and I wore the same perfume. And so our kids couldn't tell. They couldn't tell. They couldn't distinguish us over the phone, and they couldn't tell our handwriting apart.
Your daughter who knows me by my scent.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, I forgot about that. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So my younger daughter knows everybody by scent, but that's right. May I tell this story? Oh, this is so funny. I had given Juliana and Dahlia symphony tickets. Dahlia knew everybody by scent by the time she was 3 years old. The doorbell would ring. She'd be upstairs in the back and she'd, Laura's here. And she'd go, flawless. So they go to the symphony. And the next day, I told you this, I had said to them, did you have a good time? And it was front row center, second row center seats. And, we weren't using them. And did you have a good time? Yes, it was wonderful. And we saw Myrna during the intermission. I said to Juliana, how on earth did you find Myrna in a mash of 2,000 people? She said, funny you should ask. Said, we went outside and Dahlia said, Myrna Aronoff is here, and found her way through 700 people to you. That's right. Shalimar.
Shalimar, that's it. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
I wear it to I wore Samsara, but I got back to Shalimar.
Oh, let's talk about perfume and scent someday. Thank you, honey, for coming back. So much to talk about. Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, my dear.
Anything?
Have a wonderful day.
You too. And anything else you want to talk about? And remember, give me a holler and we'll do it together.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, darling. Goodbye, everyone. This is Janet Gallen and
Myrna
saying goodbye. We'll talk to you another time.
Sayonara. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye, honey.
Bye, darling. Bye.
Bye.